esperava a oportunidade e a oportunidade não vinha. Eu acho assim, quando você tem a oportunidade e de repente não vai bem, tudo bem. Agora eu não tive a oportunidade.
Chance in the Premier League at last for Berti Glauber.
Foi uma coisa que marcou minha vida, marcou até hoje. Conto essa história para todos os amigos, para todas as pessoas que perguntam sobre a minha carreira, sempre tem que tocar nesse assunto. Então é uma coisa que me marcou e acredito que marcou também essa minha passagem pelo Manchester City.
Do you remember a player called Glauber Berti?
Glauber Berti?
No. Glauber Berti.
What? Say that again.
Glauber Berti, Brazilian.
No, it doesn't ring a bell. Glauber Berti. Sounds German.
How long have you been supporting City?
Like 45 years.
This will probably be very difficult for you to remember. 2008.
No.
Same time as Alano Robinho.
No.
Pass.
Do you remember a player, a Brazilian, called Glauber? Yeah?
No, yeah, quality player. Yes. Yes.
Glauber Berti.
Oh, weren't he the guy that never played? He was always on the substitutes bench.
Played alongside Alano and Robinho that period, but only made one appearance.
Yeah, he was always on the bench, wasn't he?
Correct. Vague memory there.
Glauber Berti, what one man player, yeah, I remember him.
Do you remember how many appearances?
One.
So you remember him?
I remember him, yeah.
The left back.
Yes.
Oh, he came on as a sub last game of the season. Never saw him, did we, apparently? Just one game he came out.
And how long did he play for?
10 minutes.
Against?
Bolton Wanderers.
Correct. And everybody cheered when he got the ball, yeah. Well done. Well done. Good memory.
Thank you.
Some people will remember and some may not, but Glauber Berti went down in City and England's footballing history for something rather unusual. The Brazilian is considered a cult hero, despite only playing for one season at the Etihad, making just one appearance and playing for just 10 minutes in the last match of the 2008-9 season. In this latest episode of Made in Brazil, we're going to teach you a little bit more about the Brazilian left-back.
Well, it's a start. Thank you. Thank you.
His full name is Leandro Honorato Glauber Berti, and at City he wore the number 36 shirt with just Berti on the back. After a little bit of a hunt, City TV found Glauber Berti in his hometown of São José do Rio Preto in Brazil. In an exclusive interview, the former Blue talked to us about football, family and the future. And of course, Berti opened his heart and talked to us a little bit about his unusual experience at City. But before that, let's take a look back at the cult hero's former career. Glauber began his professional career at Palmeiras, one of the biggest Brazilian teams, which already had players like Rivaldo, Cafu and Roberto Carlos in the squad. In 2003, Palmeiras were suffering one of the club's biggest crises. For the very first time, the team was competing in the Brazilian second division. However, even though it was a tough season, Palmeiras won the league and were promptly promoted back to the top flight of Brazilian football. And a young Glauber Berti was one of the players who helped Palmeiras on their way. Making 13 appearances that season, including the final game, Berti's professional football career was off to a bright start. Still with Palmeiras, the fullback won his first cap for the Brazilian national team when he appeared in a friendly against Guatemala in 2005. This match became well known for Romario's farewell to the national squad. That same year, Glauber left Brazil to start a new adventure in European football, signing for Germany's FC Nuremberg. The Brazilian helped the team win the Pokal Cup in 2007, a similar competition to the FA Cup in England. And Berti recalls his memories of that cup-winning team.
No Nuremberg eu vinha de um título da Pokal, onde o time estava muito redondinho, muito legal. E no ano seguinte, o nosso time teve a infelicidade de cair para a segunda divisão na Bundesliga. Então aí surgiu uma oportunidade de sair livre do meu clube. E aí, nesse meio termo, ocorreu a negociação que eu cheguei a ir para o Manchester City.
At the age of 25, Glauber Berti joined City on the 31st of August 2008 on a one-year contract. It was a busy summer in the transfer market that year, with Mark Hughes signing 6 new players, including none other than Pablo Zabaleta and Brazilian star Robinho, the first big-name transfer of the Sheikh Mansour era.
É uma época que foi o primeiro ano do Sheikh no Manchester City e o Manchester City estava numa reformulação grande. E para mim foi muito bacana pela oportunidade de defender um clube grande, um clube internacionalmente conhecido. E ali para mim chegar ali era como se fosse um passo maior na minha carreira. E para mim no momento foi uma coisa muito importante dentro da minha carreira.
Few people may know that Berti made his debut with the EDS squad at the start of the 2008-09 campaign, and despite a language issue, former EDS manager Glyn Hodges had a good impression of the Brazilian.
Glauber did well. He looks strong and competitive. He won a lot of headers. There may be a language problem, but that's probably because I talk too fast.
And even though Glauber found it hard to break into the first team, he still felt very much part of the City family.
Então, o Manchester City era um lugar maravilhoso. Acho que eu nunca vivenciei um vestiário tão bacana como lá. Pessoal, todos amigos, pessoal, todo mundo brincando com todo mundo. Bem bacana, o pessoal se dava legal. E o convívio, o dia a dia com os brasileiros, Robinho, o Jô, Elano, Felipe Caicedo, que é um equatoriano que fiz muita amizade. E acho que o dia a dia ali era bem bacana, muita felicidade e a gente tinha prazer de jogar futebol.
Everybody needs a laugh.
Apart from his Brazilian teammates, Berti has very fond memories of an unforgettable kitman, Les Chapman. The Brazilian describes Chappie as an important character in the City dressing room.
Well done, sir.
Acho que com carinho dos jogadores, principalmente todos em si ali, os ingleses, que a gente adorava os ingleses, mas tinha uma pessoa em especial que era o Chaplin, que era o roupeiro do Manchester City, que é um cara fantástico, um cara divertido, o dia inteiro rindo e procurando animar todo mundo, procurando trazer a felicidade para o vestiário. É um cara que eu tenho um grande carinho e relembrar dele é sorrisos certos.
You won't find anybody who was here at the time to say anything bad about him or wrong about him. He was such a lovely lad, most unassuming lad, quiet, just got on with things, did his training, was never any trouble whatsoever. And
he'd come in every morning, dead funny, come in for one strap in, do it himself and go out. So we nicknamed him the Ghost in the end because you didn't know he was in some days. But yeah, he was a really nice lad.
Yeah, one of the best professionals I've ever trained with.
Oh, what a legend. He was fantastic lad. I think he was a great professional.
You know, he was actually probably better than most people know. And in training, he was never letting the team down. He was always, you know, he was at the level that he needed to be. But, you know, at the time, for so many reasons, it was very difficult for him to get in the squad.
Very quiet. It was not like typical Brazilian lads like making, you know, dancing all the time, listening to music in the dressing room. Elano and Robinho, they were more, you know, Brazilian style, but he was like very quiet.
You know, we all wanted him to do well because he was such a great character for the team. He didn't speak too much. But when he spoke, he made sense. And again, as I said, his level was really good. I think he was a Brazilian international at some point as well. So, but hey, sometimes the season's like this. So for whatever reason, he didn't get in the team at that time. But it was actually a great player to have around the squad.
Of course, the English press were picking up on the fact that Glauber had yet to make his first appearance for the club, and some local journalists still remember the intrigue around the player.
What I remember, Nate, was that he signed on the same day as Pablo Zabaleta, I think. And I remember asking Mark Hughes about him at Sunderland. So Mark Hughes gave a sort of double answer about the two new signings.
He was sort of a mystery signing, came from Germany. Not a lot of people knew a lot about him.
And when he came in, it was fairly obvious from the beginning that he was a player who'd been brought in to be a friend of one of the players, the big high-profile players that had come in, Alano and Rubinho and all that were around then.
But became a bit of a cult figure with the fans, you know, because they were all desperate to see him, but never really did.
In typical City fan humour, that they took him to the hearts, that people had his name on the backs, you know, and eventually he came on and the crowd went wild and the rest is history.
City, one of these clubs where they celebrate these underdogs, these unknowns. And Glauber Berti is one of those players which will be remembered for a long time.
You know, when players, you see them on the pitch and you make a judgment on that player purely on what they see, but sometimes they bring other things to it as well. And there's no doubt in my mind, although I didn't have an awful lot of intimate contact with him, that Glauber Berti was one of those people who brought something a little bit different, and that was his little reward, his little thank you. And I think everybody got that. So, you know, long may he continue. He's an honorary City hero forever. Perhaps legend's gone a bit too far, but I think we can call him a City hero.
In the last game of the 2008-9 season, Manchester City played against Bolton in front of 47,000 fans. And on that day, Mark Hughes would make one of the most popular and memorable substitutions. After signing the previous summer and sitting on the bench a staggering 20 times without being called into action, Glauber Berti would get his first and last opportunity to play for City.
Não, lembro perfeitamente. Lembro porque antes mesmo de eu entrar eles já estavam gritando Glauber, Glauber. E eu esperava pela oportunidade de jogar ali, esperei a oportunidade o ano inteiro. E eu acho assim, quando você tem a oportunidade e de repente não vai bem, tudo bem. Agora eu não tive a oportunidade. A torcida começou a gritar meu nome antes dos jogos, pedindo para que eu entrasse e acho que a ansiedade, o que eu queria transmitir para o treinador, a torcida acabou transmitindo, tipo, pô, cadê o Glauber, né?
City went on to win the match, but what the fans won't forget is what happened on the 85th minute when a cult hero was born. Glauber Berti became known as the Invisible Man, one of the most famous cult heroes in the club's history.
Aqueles 10 minutos foram maravilhosos porque toda vez que eu tocava na bola a torcida gritava meu nome e reverenciava, foi uma coisa super bacana. Foi um caso diferente, acabou sendo um pouco engraçado, né? Porque acho que o tanto que eu queria jogar, a torcida queria que eu jogasse também, queria me ver jogando também. Foi uma coisa que marcou minha vida, marcou até hoje, conto essa história para todos os amigos, para todas as pessoas que perguntam sobre a minha carreira, sempre tem que tocar nesse assunto. Então é uma coisa que me marcou e acredito que marcou também essa minha passagem pelo Manchester City.
It is City 1, Bolton 1 Bristol.
Bom, eu procurei fazer o meu melhor o tempo todo. Acho que quem conviveu comigo no ano no Manchester City sabe da minha dedicação aos treinos, sabe de como eu lutei por essa oportunidade. Infelizmente ela veio no último dia, mas mesmo assim foi uma coisa maravilhosa a minha passagem pelo City, porque me engrandeceu como pessoa também.
After City, Berti went on to play for São Caetano in Brazil for one season before coming back to Europe to join Romanian side FC Rapid Bucharest, where he stayed for 3 years. The Brazilian then moved to America and signed for Columbus Crew FC, where he retired as a professional player last year. Berti has now returned to his native Brazil to settle in his hometown, where he is close to his family and friends and is planning for the future.
Então, eu tô numa fase de adaptação, que eu encerrei minha carreira agora e fiz um trabalho aqui, fiz um loteamento, estou trabalhando em cima disso agora também. Estou na minha casa, perto dos meus amigos, perto da minha família, um momento que eu sempre quis assim que eu saí do Brasil, era retornar e encontrar todo mundo saudável, todo mundo com saúde e poder vivenciar um pouco da felicidade de já estar perto deles. Eu tive uma lesão nos Estados Unidos de ligamento cruzado anterior que me ajudou a tomar essa decisão também, porque eu acabei terminando meu contrato lá por essa lesão e aí me encorajei a tomar essa decisão. Hi guys, I just want to say thanks for everything and the legend is very happy, alright? See you.